Yes, we did. Onward to the...
Mike, you look like you're ready for a fight.
Always ready, my man. Always ready.
That's the spirit.
The year was 1996. A luxury hotel in Las Vegas glowed with crystal chandeliers and the buzz of boxing legends gathering for the biggest event of the decade. In the corner of the grand ballroom, a 30-year-old Mike Tyson stood silently, his jaw clenched, his fists buried deep in his pockets. Across the room, laughing loudly with a group of wealthy businessmen, was Larry Holmes, the man who had done the unthinkable in 1980. He had beaten Muhammad Ali. Not just beaten him, he had humiliated the greatest fighter who ever lived, pounding Ali for 10 brutal rounds until the referee finally stopped the fight. Tyson's eyes never left Holmes. The older fighter was now 47, gray in his beard, wearing an expensive suit that spoke of years living off that one famous victory. He had built an empire on the back of beating a legend past his prime. But tonight, something was about to change. Tonight, Larry Holmes would learn a lesson he'd never forget. Before we dive into this incredible story of justice and revenge, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss stories of honor, respect, and karma in action. To understand this moment, you need to know the history between these three men, Muhammad Ali, Larry Holmes, and Mike Tyson. Muhammad Ali was more than a boxer. He was a symbol of courage, grace, and excellence. In the 1960s and 70s, he dazzled the world with his speed, his power, and his personality. He was the greatest, and everyone knew it. Young boys across America, including a troubled kid named Mike Tyson growing up in Brooklyn, watched Ali on television and dreamed of being like him. Larry Holmes was different. He had been Ali's sparring partner in the 1970s, a worker bee helping the champion prepare for his real fights. Holmes was good, very good, but he lived in Ali's shadow. He trained with a legend, learned from him, but never got the respect he thought he deserved. In 1980, everything changed. Muhammad Ali, now 38 years old and suffering from the early stages of Parkinson's disease, made a terrible decision. He needed money. Medical bills were piling up, and his lifestyle was expensive. So he agreed to fight Larry Holmes, who was now the heavyweight champion. The fight was painful to watch. Ali, once so fast and graceful, moved like his feet were stuck in mud. His hands, which used to fly like lightning, now felt heavy as stone. Holmes, younger and stronger, beat him mercilessly for 10 rounds. Ali's corner finally stopped the fight, and the world watched their hero get destroyed on national television. But here's what made it worse. Larry Holmes showed no mercy. He could have eased up, shown respect to the man who had given him everything, taught him everything. Instead, he pounded Ali without hesitation, breaking the hearts of millions of fans worldwide. After the fight, Holmes was asked if he felt bad about beating his former mentor. He shrugged and said, "Business is business." Ali knew what he was getting into. That cold response shocked the boxing world. Where was the gratitude? Where was the respect? Young Mike Tyson was only 14 years old when he watched that fight on a grainy television in a youth detention center in upstate New York. He had never met Muhammad Ali, but like millions of others, he loved him. Tyson cried that night, not because Ali lost, but because of how he lost, and because of how little respect Holmes had shown. "I'll never forget what he did," Tyson told his trainer, Cus D'Amato, years later. "If I ever get the chance, I'll make him pay for disrespecting Ali like that." Now, 16 years later, that chance had finally come. The 1990s were a complicated time for Mike Tyson. He had become the youngest heavyweight champion in history at age 20, destroying every opponent who stood in his way. His power was terrifying. He knocked out fighters in the first round, sometimes with a single punch. Boxing experts called him unstoppable. But Tyson's personal life was falling apart. His marriage to actress Robin Givens ended in a bitter, public divorce. His mentor and father figure, Cus D'Amato, had died, leaving Tyson without guidance. In 1992, Tyson was convicted of a crime he maintained he didn't commit and spent 3 years in prison. During those years behind bars, Tyson had plenty of time to think. He read books about history, philosophy, and boxing. He watched old fight tapes, studying the legends who came before him. and he watched the Ollie Holmes fight over and over again, his anger growing each time. Holmes thought he was tough beating an old man. Tyson told his cellmate one evening. He built his whole reputation on destroying someone who couldn't defend himself anymore. That's not a warrior. That's a coward. When Tyson was released from prison in 1995, the boxing world wondered if he still had it. Was he still the baddest man on the planet? Or had prison broken his spirit? His first fight back answered that question. Tyson knocked out his opponent in 89 seconds. The power was still there. The hunger was still there. And the anger, especially about what Holmes had done to Ollie, was burning hotter than ever. Meanwhile, Larry Holmes was living comfortably. He had retired from boxing in 1988, but occasionally fought exhibition matches to stay relevant and earn money. At 47 years old, he was still in decent shape, still confident, still telling anyone who would listen about the night he beat Muhammad Ali. "People don't appreciate what I did," Holmes would say in interviews. "I beat the greatest fighter of all time. That's my legacy." But there was no warmth in his words, no acknowledgement of what Ali had meant to him or to the sport. It was always about Holmes, never about respect or gratitude. In early 1996, a fight promoter named Don King saw an opportunity. Tyson was back and destroying everyone. Holmes was still a recognizable name. Why not put them in the ring together? It would be a huge pay-per-view event. Young lion versus old champion. Student of Ali versus the man who had beaten him. The press conference to announce the fight was electric. Reporters packed the room. Cameras flashing as Tyson and Holmes sat at opposite ends of a long table. Holmes smiled confidently, looking relaxed in an expensive suit. Tyson sat silently, his expression unreadable, his massive shoulders hunched forward like a coiled spring. A reporter asked Holmes, "Are you worried about fighting Mike Tyson? He's destroyed everyone since getting out of prison." Holmes laughed, waving his hand dismissively. "Mike's a brawler, not a boxer. I've fought better fighters than him. I beat Muhammad Ali, the greatest of all time. What's Mike Tyson compared to that?" The room fell silent. Tyson's jaw tightened. His hands, resting on the table, slowly curled into fists. Another reporter asked Tyson, "Mike, what do you think about Larry saying he beat better fighters than you?" Tyson leaned forward into the microphone. His voice was quiet but filled with barely controlled rage. "Larry Holmes is a disgrace. He beat Ali when Ali was sick and old, and he showed no respect. He's lived off that victory for 16 years, like he did something great. But all he did was beat up someone who couldn't fight back." Tyson paused, his eyes locked on Holmes. "On January 22nd, I'm going to do something I've wanted to do since I was 14 years old. I'm going to make him pay for what he did to my hero." Holmes tried to laugh it off, but you could see the nervousness in his eyes. This wasn't going to be an easy payday. This was going to be personal. The weeks leading up to the fight were filled with tension. Holmes tried to play mind games, calling Tyson mentally weak and overrated. But Tyson didn't respond. He just trained, harder and more focused than anyone had seen him in years. His trainer, Tommy Brooks, later said, "Mike wasn't training to win a fight. He was training to deliver justice. Every punch he threw in the gym, he imagined it was for Ali." January 22nd, 1996. The MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas was packed with 16,000 screaming fans. The energy was electric. This wasn't just a boxing match. It was a judgment day. In the dressing room, Mike Tyson sat on a bench, his hands already wrapped, his eyes closed. He was meditating, visualizing the fight. In his mind, he saw Ali, young, strong, dancing around the ring with that beautiful smile. Then he saw Ali at 38, slow and sick, being pounded by Holmes while the world watched in horror. Tyson opened his eyes. Tonight, he would set things right. When the announcer called his name, Tyson walked to the ring with a focus that sent chills through the crowd. He wore black trunks with no robe, no fancy entrance, just raw power and purpose. Larry Holmes entered next, waving to the crowd, trying to look confident, but his smile seemed forced. At 47, he was the oldest fighter Tyson had ever faced. His body was still strong, but time was not on his side. The referee called both fighters to the center of the ring for instructions. Holmes tried to stare Tyson down, but Tyson just looked through him like he wasn't there. The bell rang for round one. Holmes came out trying to use his jab, keeping Tyson at distance. It was a smart strategy. Holmes had an 81-inch reach, much longer than Tyson's 71 inches. If he could keep Tyson away, he might survive. But Tyson was patient. He bobbed and weaved, slipping Holmes's jabs, moving forward like a shark circling prey. Every step brought him closer. Every movement tightened the noose. 30 seconds into the round, Tyson saw his opening. Holmes threw a lazy jab, and Tyson exploded forward with a left hook to the body that sounded like a baseball bat hitting a side of beef. Holmes's eyes went wide with pain. Before Holmes could recover, Tyson followed with a right uppercut that snapped Holmes's head back. Then a left hook to the jaw. Then another right hand. 4 punches in less than 2 seconds, each one carrying years of built-up anger. Holmes stumbled backward into the ropes, his legs shaky, his guard down. The referee jumped in, waving his arms. The fight was over. 47 seconds. That's all it took. The crowd erupted in a mixture of shock and celebration. 47 seconds to avenge 16 years of disrespect. Tyson walked to his corner. No celebration, no showboating. He had done what he came to do. As Holmes sat on his stool, dazed and defeated, Tyson walked over to him. The crowd went silent, wondering what would happen next. Tyson leaned down and said something that only Holmes could hear. Later, Holmes would tell reporters what Tyson said. That was for Ollie. You should have shown him respect. The aftermath of the fight was felt far beyond the boxing ring. Sports journalists wrote about it for weeks. It wasn't just about one fighter beating another. It was about honor, respect, and karma finally catching up to someone who had forgotten what those words meant. 3 days after the fight, Mike Tyson did something that showed his true character. He flew to Michigan to visit Muhammad Ali at his home. Ali's Parkinson's disease had progressed, and he could no longer speak clearly or move with ease. But when Tyson walked through the door, Ali's eyes lit up with recognition and gratitude. Tyson knelt beside Ali's chair and took his trembling hand. "I did it, champ," Tyson said quietly. "I made him pay for what he did to you." Ali couldn't speak well, but he managed to say one word: "Brother." That moment, captured by Ali's wife Lonnie on a camera, would become one of the most touching images in boxing history. 2 warriors, generations apart, connected by respect and love for the sport. Larry Holmes, meanwhile, faced a different reality. The loss to Tyson wasn't just a defeat. It was the end of his ability to trade on beating Ali. He had spent 16 years telling everyone about that victory, but now people remembered him differently. They remembered him as the man who got knocked out in 47 seconds by someone fighting for justice. Holmes eventually apologized in a magazine interview 5 years later. "I was young and stupid," he admitted. "I should have shown Ali more respect. He gave me everything: training, knowledge, opportunity. I was so focused on proving I was better that I forgot to be grateful. That's my biggest regret." The lesson here is timeless and universal. Respect costs nothing, but disrespect can cost everything. Larry Holmes had every right to beat Muhammad Ali in that 1980 fight. It was a professional boxing match. But the way he did it, without mercy or acknowledgement of Ali's condition, and the way he talked about it afterward, showed a lack of character that eventually came back to haunt him. Mike Tyson, despite all his personal problems and controversies, understood something fundamental. You honor those who came before you. You respect the legends who paved the way. When someone like Muhammad Ali gives you inspiration and hope, you don't forget it. This story teaches us that in life, whether in sports, business, or personal relationships, how we treat others, especially those who helped us or inspired us, defines who we are. Success built on disrespect is hollow and temporary, but respect, honor, and gratitude create legacies that last forever. How many times have we seen people succeed by stepping on others, only to face consequences later? How often do we forget to show gratitude to those who helped us along the way? The boxing ring may be unique, but the principle is universal. Treat others with dignity, especially those who paved your path. Because somewhere, someone is watching, someone is learning, and someone might one day hold you accountable for your actions. If this story of honor, respect, and justice moved you, please hit that subscribe button and smash the like button. Share this video with anyone who needs a reminder that karma is real and respect matters. Drop a comment below telling us about a time you witnessed someone get their deserved karma. Your story might inspire our next video. Thanks for watching, and remember, treat others the way you want to be remembered.